Why is it so hard to find a good case for your Google 10 Pro XL and 10 Pro? I think it's because so many of these cases are so similar. However, I have found and identified my top 5 cases for each different category, from most protective to best clear case to the thinnest case and just best overall case, that I want to show you guys, because if you're looking for an affordable good case, well, look no further, let me show you them. This is the Ringke Fusion magnetic case, and in my opinion, this is the best clear case you can get for your Google 10 Pro XL. And that's because of the amount of protection, as well as the setup in terms of how the cutouts are constructed. And the secret of the Ringke case is that even though it comes with a similar configuration with the polycarbonate back and the TPU sides, it also comes with a lot of the same features as the higher, more premium cases that you see. It comes with those military grade air pockets on the corner, so if you drop it, it's going to have additional corner protection. It's going to be coming with dual strap holes, so if you want to attach a lanyard or a strap to your case, it's also going to work well. In the camera bump here, even though it's raised, it's fully going to encase all of the metallic camera bump that you see on your Google 10 Pro XL. And similar to the casemate clear cases for your Google 10 Pro XL, these are going to be the most crystal clear cases I've ever seen for a Pixel phone. And encasing your phone inside the case is going to be a snap. Literally, it just fits right in because of the cutouts. And if you can see it, you get to actually showcase the color of your phone, even if it's mint, even if it's the moonstone or black, or in my case, the porcelain. I just like to see what it looks like. And if you're looking at the camera bump here, you notice that there's no dips. It also has a big wide cutout for your USB-C charging area, so depending on which cable you're using, it's all going to get plugged in. And you can see that micro dotting on the side so that it's going to keep its clear color with the TPU. But being totally honest, it really comes down to the camera bump protection. This is going to be, in my opinion, for the value, a very effective camera bump protection system, because it's going to be soft because it's cased in that TPU. However, it's also going to be raised, so you're unlikely to be able to scratch the lenses easily. And even if you want to put on a camera lens protector, there's still enough raised lip around the camera bump that it's not going to look funny. And I think because of how they constructed this and how it fully encases the camera bump, you're not going to get dust encased in here. It's easier to clean and it's easier to keep clean. And that's something that you have to remember. It's not always just about the protection around your screen or the borders and in the era of super thin cases, I like how Ringke did not make the corners too thick. It's not too prominent, but it's going to give you just the amount of protection, in my opinion, for a clear case, that it doesn't make the phone look funny, like if you got an Otterbox Symmetry, which will be more protective, but it's still going to have those really thick corners that just make your case look too big, in my opinion, at least for this generation. And if you're talking about grip, I'm confident enough on the grip here on that polycarbonate neck that I'm willing to risk dropping it inside of this waterfall and then moving my hands, because I know how grippy it is. So in terms of grip, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. And in terms of protection, to me, this is going to be a solid 8.5 out of 10, which is very high for such a lightweight case that only weighs 34 grams. In terms of the screen protection here, you're getting a 1.5 millimeters around the corners, closer to about 1 millimeters as you get into the center of your phone. And this is going to be just about industry standard, except you get more protection around the corners than most of your thin cases that you can get. In terms of MagSafe strength on the Fusion case, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm going to say that this is probably the most powerful MagSafe case in terms of the magnet strength that I've tested for your Google 10 Pro XL. I feel really confident just holding this over a waterfall, specifically because the MagSafe strength is so obvious. Even if you don't have it perfectly on your phone here, you'll notice that it just sticks. It's like a really powerful magnet, just feels more sticky than other phones. So what this means is that the Ringke Fusion magnetic case is just a really good value. It's going to be having all the features you're looking for, and it's going to be hyper affordable compared to its competition, and it can withstand fingerprints better than a lot of the clear cases we've seen. So do I recommend it? Yes, I highly recommend the Fusion case here. Let's talk about the best overall thin case you can get for your Google 10 Pro XL. This is the Benks Aurora Armor case, and I'm going to compare it to the Mous Superthin. And the secret of the Aurora is that it comes in that Kevlar fiber material, and it's going to have the encased camera bump protection. It actually uses something called float weave, so it's going to just have those aramide fibers just tightly woven to get it better protection. and it's going to be thinner than what you see on the mouse case at just 1 millimeter thick. Overall weight here is the lowest of any case we've tested at 22 grams. And I gotta be totally honest with you, once you place your phone inside, if you're just looking above it, it looks super sharp, it looks super good. But you notice that there is a big problem because your buttons are gonna be exposed. So if you're ever to drop this around this specific area where the buttons are or where the USB-C charger is, it's going to get scratched, it's going to get dented, and that's something that I wish they had covered up here. But if you're looking at the camera bump protection, it is a solid choice here, and that's because they do a great job just having the right cutouts, but it does irk me that there's no real button protection. But if you're using the buttons, it's going to be snappy, it's going to be quick because you're just pressing the normal buttons. And if you're looking for overall screen protection, well, this is going to act like a second skin. It's not really meant to be some type of drop protection. It's really meant to be more like scratch protection. So if you are thinking, I want a really ultra thin case with the cutout so it's not going to snap on the corners, this could be a winner. And if you're wondering why there's no edges around certain areas that have the buttons as well as the USB-C cutout, it is because the aramide fibers, if you want to make them super thin, you can't really use this core weave, otherwise it's just not going to work. They don't come that thin. So if we're rating MagSafe strength, I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10, which is very good. I would say because the case is so thin, the magnets are just very strong because there's nothing impeding their magnetism. So the Benks Aurora is a very good looking case that a lot of people are going to like, but some people might find some issues with because of the protection around the buttons. And what might be very surprising to a lot of people is just how scratch resistant this case is going to be and how drop resistant if you just drop it on the corners. Not where it doesn't have the protection on the areas where it is protected. Is actually going to be a little bit more bouncy than what you see from the Mous Superthin case, and it's going to feel stronger so you feel more confident if you ever drop it on the areas that are protected. So now let's compare it to the Mous Superthin, because the Superthin case, in my opinion, is going to be one of the best cases you can get, and it's going to be the best thin case you can get for your Google 10 Pro XL. And this is because, unlike any other generation from Mous on their Superthin, they finally have the correct size cutouts. It will be more slippery than what you get with the Benks Aurora case. It's not going to be as protective in my opinion because the carbon fiber is more protective than the polycarbonate case, but it's 1.1 millimeter, so there's no real difference between the thickness of these cases. It comes with a microfiber lining, which means it's going to be heavier than a case that doesn't come with it, and that gives it some more protection in my opinion. And if you were to drop it on the corners, it would still act like a good skin, except that if you drop it where the buttons are or where the USB-C cable is, you're not going to be scared that it's going to get scratched all over. So why do I really like it? I think it's because as a second skin, the Superthin really does meet all your expectations. Where the Benks Aurora case is going to be better is that it comes with a more powerful MagSafe magnet. Not that much more powerful than what you get with the Mous, but more powerful. And overall, every area that is covered in that carbon fiber will be more protective. Spigen Ultra Hybrid, and in my opinion, this is the best overall case you can get for your Google 10 Pro XL. And if you're wondering what makes it different from the Ringke Fusion case, is that the TPU is going to be squishier. I know it comes with that kind of like two-tone design, and you can get this in clear, you can get this in other colors with the circle being red or blue, but if you look at the TPU, it's really going to mirror a Casetify case, where it's going to have those soft borders, and those soft borders, it just feels squishier in the hand and gives you really good drop protection. So if you notice, the polycarbonate is stiff, but once you get to the camera bump areas, it's going to be pretty soft. It also comes with tactile buttons, as well as it's going to have a blue resin infusion so that it's going to stay clearer longer. Your phone is going to fit really well inside this case, and if we're just talking why do I think it's such a good value, it comes down to the bumpers. And those squishier bumpers allows it to not yellow as fast. It's going to give you additional corner protection without sticking out as much as previous generations of the Spigen Ultra Hybrids. The Ultra Hybrid is also going to be very resistant to fingerprints But if we're talking about overall grip, if you have a good grip on the sides, I would give this a solid 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. But if you're just trusting the polycarbonate back, it's going to go about a 7 out of 10. So I would give grip here a solid 8 out of 10. And if you're looking at the corner bump protection, this is where it shines. It is really going to be probably the best corner bump protection you can get in one of these thinner cases that are affordable. I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. And if we're talking about MagSafe strength for your Ultra Hybrid, I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. Even closer to a 9, but not quite a 9, because I think the Fusion is going to be a more powerful magnet. And the Ultra Hybrid, it just is basically the same magnets that you use on their iPhone. So you do feel like they're not skimping you on the magnet strength, as well as the large cutout on the bottom. It is a requirement now because all of your car chargers and different devices use different size slots and different size shapes for their USB-Cs. So some of these come in square or oval, and the Spigen Ultra Hybrid just is able to meet all your needs. This is the Otterbox Defender Pro XT, and by far this will be the most protective case, in my opinion, that you can get for your Google 10 Pro XL that still looks good. So it's actually lighter than previous generations at 55 grams. It's going to be a 2-piece set, so you have a inner cover as well as the outer rim cover that's going to protect all of the sides and the camera bumps. It comes with TPU bumpers and polycarbonate case, and it's going to have 7x military grade drop protection. So I would feel the most confident taking this with me to a mountain or hiking or anything where I plan on dropping my phone repeatedly. Where the most lacking feature here will be the camera bump protection, because if you compare it to some of the cases like the Spigen as well as the Ringke, it doesn't actually give you the same amount of camera bump protection. But at the same time, because the case is so protective and bouncy, that means these sides are thick enough that they're going to be very shockproof. This is for people who plan or think they're going to drop their phones a lot. It's not even an ugly case. I think it looks better than previous generations of the Defender XT. And because it has that polycarbonate back, I would rate the grippiness at about a 7.5, even a 8 out of 10. It's not going to be the same grip that I would get on the Spigen Ultra Hybrid or the Ringkes, but it's going to be a great choice. And if you're looking at the fingerprints, it's still going to be a fingerprint magnet, but that's not why you get this case. You're getting it because you're looking for the most amount of protection. Just make sure that if you get this case, you're going to need a camera lens protector to make it super ultimate protective for your Pixel 10 Pro XL. And the price here is a lot, so it's very expensive. So you also have to take that into effect, where it's going to be about 2-3 times more expensive than some of the other cases in our video. This is the Ringke Onyx magnetic case, and once you take it out of the box, you're going to see that it's not going to be like those clear cases. And that's because it comes with this non-slip texture grip, and it's made out of the TPU material all around. So there's no stiff back. It's quite flexible. You can bend it around. It really reminds you of the Pixel Snap case from Google, except it's not made out of silicone. Now it has those non-slip texture grips on the side, so it's going to stay in your hands better. And it's going to be scratch resistant because it's not made out of the plastic that you see on other cases. It has precise camera cutouts this time, so we're going to see how good is the camera protection. And it also comes with custom fit buttons, as well as those corner protections that you see on the Fusion case. And once you pop in your Google 10 Pro XL or Pro, you notice that it gives you 1.5 millimeters of camera bump protection, including on the lenses, as well as it completely covers all of the metal parts, so you're not going to get scratches. If you want to add in a lens protector, it's going to fit in perfectly inside and not look funny. The only catch here is that the bottom cutout, which is large, is not as large in my opinion than what you get with the Fusion case from Ringke. There's also going to be the logos on the sides, and it comes with those custom fit buttons. So if you go up and down, if you're looking for the power button, if you're trying to control your camera, it's super easy to do with this case specifically because they're going to be easy to find and they jut out. So in a practical sense, this is not going to be the most beautiful case, but I think in terms of what it does in terms of overall protection while being light and thin at about 40 grams, it really does satisfy a lot of people's needs. And it comes out in different colors. You can get it in the mint color. You can get it in, I think, white. Overall drop protection, instead of just thinking about military grade, which it is, let's just say you drop it from the corners, the material choice here allows it to really absorb a lot of the impact. So this is going to be better shock resistant than a lot of the thinner or even thicker TPU sided cases that you see. In terms of the MagSafe strength, I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10. It doesn't have the same MagSafe strength in my opinion as the Ringke Fusion case, but it's still going to be very powerful, and this might just come down to the different type of material. Maybe polycarbonate is better for magnetism than you have on a all TPU case like you see here. But I still feel confident, just putting this over a waterfall, especially considering I gave the Pixel Snap case a rating of about 7 out of 10, and other cases are getting 6.5 out of 10s on their first generation MagSafe cases for your Google 10 Pro XL. But again, it really comes down to what type of protection are you looking for. This is not going to be the most beautiful case, and I think if you're looking for better grip, there's better grip cases out there. So ultimately, which case you get is going to really depend on what you're looking for. Still, the best looking case in my opinion for your Pixel will be the original Google Pixel Snap case, but that's because it's made out of silicone, but it's not going to be the best value. Which leads me to my ultimate point. You do not need to spend a lot of money if you want to get a good case for your phone anymore. Some of the best cases are going to be 50% cheaper than the Google Pixel Snap case. Some of these cases are going to only cost you somewhere between $15 to $20 US at the time of this video. So don't think you need to spend too much. I think there's a lot of great selection out there. It just depends on what your needs are. And if you want to show off your case, get the clear case. Just remember, clear cases can yellow and they will yellow regardless of who makes it. It's just that this generation is even better. And in the era of these thin cases, the Mous Superthin is just an awesome case if you want a thin case. But I would not sleep on the Benks Aurora, because even though you're not going to have the same amount of protection where the buttons are, it still looks really slick. And if I'm going to a party, I think a lot of us now are focused on showing off the thing that we bought for $1,500, maybe $1,300 or $1,100, instead of covering it up and boxing it up so that we can protect it all the time. So it's just a paradigm shift, but whichever case you choose, make sure you pick the right one. So with that, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below, and please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help support our channel. I tested about 30 cases for this, and these were the best of the best. So let me know what you think. I'll catch you next time. Bye, bye, bye.